we have to create the right vibe, you know, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Purely Arsenal FP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to the sit down at the Purely Arsenal post-match podcast. We're here to review a 2-0 thumping of the West Hammers. And we got Michael Harris with me. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. How are you, Jack? You know, season's greetings and all that.
Season's greeting. Got the festive spirit in the background there. Beautiful. We're looking very nice. Mine and Neil's got to start sorting ours out. Neil Shah with me. How you doing, Neil?
Oh, mate. Ronaldo, better watch out. Martinelli's going to be breaking all his records, every single one.
Brilliant. You know, my biggest satisfaction after that game, because I was sure he was injured. I went away from the telly, came back, and then you guys texted me it was just cramp, because he came onto the pitch at the end, didn't he? And
He's fine.
Looked great. So we just beat West Ham, and everyone wants to talk about the West Ham game, and I'm sure people want to listen to us. We do have to talk a little bit about some of the off-the-field drama. We're addicted to drama, aren't we, Arsenal? I mean, if it's a quiet couple of weeks, you know something's coming out. But it is a bit unfortunate, but I do think there might be some positives to take from it. So in the last couple of days, obviously everyone knows, but I'll give a quick backstory. Aubameyang returned late from being given sort of, I guess, if you like, clearance to travel, because travelling was restricted at this time for all players. But he'd been given clearance to travel because to basically bring his mother back home. From what I've read, he came back home late, but came to practice on time. But because he came back home late, that basically screwed up the COVID protocols in terms of testing when you return from France. I think it is where he went to, so it screwed up that. And then since then, Mikel Arteta has been, like he is, and he's consistent in this, he's been pretty straightforward in what's happened, disciplinary breach. And then in the last day or so, we found out that not only has it been another disciplinary breach, but he's decided to remove the captaincy from him altogether. And we saw the captaincy handed down through that leadership group today to Alexandre Lacazette. Neil, overall thoughts on the Aubameyang situation before we get into the game?
For me, I think it's the right decision for many reasons. From a personal point of view, I've never advocated him as a captain. I've never thought he'd done well as a captain in his role as a captain. Just didn't think he was a fit captain. Just isn't. I think he's better just playing as a striker and doing what he does and not having to worry about that responsibility on his shoulders. So from that point of view, I'm very pleased that he's been stripped of it. Could have been, I wish it had been done in better circumstances, but hey ho, it is what it is. But I think it's for the best for the club, because whoever gets it, I mean, I've got my favourites, but I mean, Lacazette, of course, we'll talk about the game. I think he's almost come out of the shadow of Aubameyang for me, and he showed what a captain's role is, especially today. It was just awesome. He epitomised that role. Aubameyang, I think, for me, many times in the past when we've been not doing so well as a club and as a team, he's always shirked off his responsibilities, and on post-match interviews, he's shoved the kids to go in and do it, and he's hidden from his job. I think because a lot was said about that, he did one. He came out on one of them, and that was it. He just had a face like a slapped ass on there, and I just thought, you're not a captain. You're not captain material, son. You're just not. And then I like the fact, you know, whether you agree or you disagree with how Arteta's dealing with it, as you said, Jack, he's consistent. He's showing and demonstrating that he's not going to take any shit from anyone. Doesn't matter what name you've got on the back of his shirt, and you're going to take the appropriate action, and you're going to be reprimanded, and sometimes severely, as he has done so and demonstrated with Aubameyang. So all the other people are thinking, shit, this guy means business. Doesn't matter how good I am, if I mess up from a disciplinary point of view, I'm going to suffer the consequences. So I think it's the right thing. And then going on from his form as a player, I mean, to be honest, for me, ever since, not just since he got the captain's role, from the moment he signed that contract, he's never been the same. Yes, he carried us that season. He won us the FA Cup. People can argue, which I will agree with. And on his day, he's great. You know, we've given him credit many, many times. On his day, when he plays and he scores great goals, It's fantastic. And, you need a player like that. But I'm sorry, the last, God knows how long now, he's just not been doing it. He scored 4 goals in this season so far, if that. It's just not, for me, captain or otherwise, the player that we expect who's our marquee player, 350,000 a week or whatever it is. No, not good enough. And I think if he does ever come back, I don't think he is ever going to play again for Arsenal, but even if he does, this break hopefully will do him good. And he might come back not having that responsibility on his shoulders of being a captain and leader. And hopefully it might be, I think it's the best for the club as a whole. So that's my thoughts on it anyway.
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. Can't really, just rewatching Martinelli's goal and I got all excited. I can't really disagree with any of that. Mike, obviously there's backstory here. People will look at Mick Arteta, who I've been very critical of, just surprisingly off the field with his disciplinary stuff is where I've actually supported him. But people are going to look at it and go, this guy's always got a problem with someone. And this is a guy that he's heavily backed. He's given the biggest contract at the club too. So no matter what happens here, Arteta has to take some of the blame. But is it the right decision for you, Mike? And what do you think? Because Neil spoke on it really well there, on the future here, because that might be, obviously the last 2 games have looked fantastic and it looks like the team's behind him in terms of his decision if you're judging the performances. But beyond that, what do you think the future is as well? So what's your thoughts, Mike?
I think he's done the right decision. I think the statement, the brief statement that they made on the club made when they said the latest, breach of the latest one. So there's been quite a few. It's not just 1 or 2. It seems to be a number. I think you probably can go back to the start of the season when both him and Lacazette were missing because of it came out later on that it was. I think they were both positive. Going back, he had the tattoo situation where he should have been in lockdown. Coach was in lockdown. He had a tattoo, and then he uploads getting another tattoo again a couple of days ago. Then he even something as trivial was the liking the Ronaldo post, the Instagram post. So there's a number of things. The fact that the North London derby, obviously that was a big one. The fact that he didn't do the warm down, he jumped in the car and he was revving up the Lambo. You could hear it in the stadium, and then he shoots off without doing the warm. So how many chances are you going to give someone, no matter what place of work you're in? Someone keeps taking a mick. You're going to get a verbal warning, and then you're going to get another warning, and then that's it. You get your cards. And in this instance, it seems like yes, it is the captaincy's been stripped. I don't think he won't play for us again. Obviously this 2021 because obviously in 12 days they're off to the African nations. And then who knows by then if there are rumours about Barcelona being interested or someone getting him on loan, so he's just out of the building. As much as the way Ozil was dealt with, just get him out, because if he's there with his, trying to get people's ears maybe, then he might turn. But I think with the performance tonight, you saw that, the buy-in is there. They've got young guys who are hungry, and they may be young, but they don't want I don't think they want anyone there who's going to kind of jeopardise their development and trajectory to where the club wants to get to. And you saw, as Neil said, Lacazette, his performance tonight was a captain's performance. Leading the line, being the focal point, bringing everyone else into play. I only think the only person that seems to get a pass for Arteta is Xhaka. He's had a few discretions on the pitch, we should say, and he seems to be forgiven and gets back in into his good books. But I think everything that Neil said was right. At the time, Aubameyang was scoring goals for us when he was given the captaincy. He was the biggest name in the team, so it was kind of like the right decision. I think we were sort of thinking it might be a temporary thing. Obviously, it continued, and yes, he did the business for us in the cup final and the Community Shield. But yeah, he's said it himself. He's a shy guy. He's not captain material. We seem to have an issue of where we keep on giving the captaincy to the so-called best or highest profile named player, and not necessarily the person with the right characteristics to be a captain, to bring the team together and to be vocal on the pitch. How many times we've seen, things going wrong and Aubameyang not really saying anything, or we need someone there who's going to be vocal and make people accountable and pull them up, and tell them a few things about themselves. And I think Lacazette does that to a certain extent. But I think it's a shame it's ended this way. But I think we could see something something happening. It was either going to be him or Arteta, and obviously, it's Aubameyang, and I don't think he'll be kicking the ball for us again. I think we'll be looking to get him out.
Just on that, when he was interviewed, and I know you've heard it, but when he was interviewed on selling Aubameyang in January, his exact words were, "I can say right now we have made this decision. Unfortunately, it's a tough one. And obviously, if I had to choose, I would not like to be sitting here talking about it. But for now, he is not involved in the squad." And then he goes on to say a little bit more. I think that's really there is not even a mention of the reintegration of him. And I'm sure at some point, I think he was called back into practice today. But as we know well, being in practice every day, like Ozil and Guendouzi were, is a far cry from being involved in matchday squads again. And I wonder, I think this, is it a coincidence? Maybe it is, that the fact that it's 12 days away till AFCON. Gabon, I don't know a lot about them, but I'm guessing they're not going to go that far in the AFCON. So he's probably going to have a little bit of downtime where he's lingering in January. And we all know from his Dortmund days, Aubameyang doesn't really end things at clubs massively amicably. I mean, we've seen Tuchel come out, with the arm around shoulder, but he had the same problems with him. Tuchel had problems with him too. So he can say what he likes now, but in the moment, he knew he was a tricky guy to deal with. And I think on this podcast, we've largely said, or at least expressed concerns for about 12 months, that we think we're a better side without Aubameyang in the team. And when he's been at his best under Arteta, it hasn't been as a centre-forward. I mean, in the cup final, he was coming off the left in a back three, a counter-attacking setup. It was completely different. I mean, it was night and day. And what you saw today was there was no player on the pitch with 12 to 15 touches in the 90 minutes. I mean, I don't know what the stats are, but let's have a look at how many touches Lacazette had of the ball. And I know it's not all down to that, but this was one of the first times you watch us and you see that there's not a passenger there. There's no passengers there. Do you know what I mean? And I agree. I think it's going to be really, I mean, I've listened to a lot of podcasts in the last 24 hours, so I'm just curious to see what the thought process is. A lot of people talk about now it's on Auba to show, and I don't think he's got the sort of Xhaka mentality, if you like, that can just sort of brush everything off and go, I believe my ability. I don't care if I've lost the captaincy. I don't see it. I don't see that in him at all. And I don't know if Arteta would be accepting of it anyway, because Arteta, when he's made his decision, he's pretty strong on it, isn't he? I mean, that's one thing we got, like you said, there's the odd exception, but generally speaking, he's pretty. Look at Pepe. Look, he's made something. He's like, boom. See you later. Couldn't even get on today, could he? It's really strong on it. So, I mean, I tend to agree with you. But if we do lose him, we have to say he's still got 4 or 5 goals in a terrible season for him so far. That's season, right. We're a team that lacks goals. Neil, I mean, if let's say, for example, we somehow remove him in January, which would be, I wouldn't be necessarily surprised, as we've done it with Ozil. But
Aguero, what's happened to Aguero's opened the door? Yeah, possibly.
Could do.
Possibly. It's probably a great chance for us to. Yeah, so there's a chance there. Yeah, and just kind of just go back to one more thing about it. The other thing, we were Michael touched on when he was chosen as captain. I think that was because, wasn't that at the same time when all that stuff happened with Xhaka, and it obviously needs to find a new captain. Yeah. So it probably was a bit of a rushed decision.
That was under Emery, though, wasn't it?
Oh, was that under Emery?
That was under Emery.
Now.
He was appointed under Emery, but Arteta never changed.
Sorry, yes, yeah. Okay, that's it. So, I don't know, but I think the door is open for him. I'll be shocked if he plays again for us personally. I really will.
Is the League Cup game before he goes to AFCON? Do we know that?
The League Cup's game's next Tuesday.
So it is before
next Tuesday.
That would be quite an interesting one, because if someone's going to be reintegrated, kind of like after an injury, you probably assume that we don't play our first 11 there. And so if he starts Eddie Nketiah up top and Aubameyang's not there, I think that's it, probably. I think that's really hard to see the reintegration of him after that. And, I mean, it's really about how do we do now, isn't it? If we're doing if we're playing like this, through January, he's not coming back in. He's just not going to come back in, because these performances that we've seen in the last 2 games, which I've been really impressed by, especially today, are so few and far between, you're going to start to put two and two together there, aren't you? And I felt I saw this last season when he was absent, to be honest.
Mm.
But let's Mike, let's start on the game. Let's start on the game. I think we'll draw a line under that. We did good to 10 minutes. Fantastic, a huge game. I think the biggest game of the season. I know people saying, United away and Tottenham at home, but in terms of where we were at, and we had to bounce back after that horrible week. What's your thoughts on the first half, Mike? I felt we grew into it, and I felt now looking back on it, it was quite an impressive first half. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I think West Ham, I think it was typical David Moyes, the way he sort of set up a few Everton teams when he's brought them down there, and very cagey, all men behind the ball, and you've got to take your hat off to was it Dawson? I think it was. The amount of blocks he did, just getting in the way of so many shots and everything. So yeah, they had their game plan to try and hit us on the counter, but as you said, as we grew into the game, we got more possession. Got a lot more cuter around the box. Some of the touches from Odegaard was lovely. His link up with Saka, who Saka seemed to, it seemed like he's got some history between him and West Ham, the way he was playing, because he weren't having it tonight. He was proper on it. Every time he had the ball, he was just driving at him, and he was brilliant. And he carried that on, obviously, into the second half. But yeah, we grew, and just a shame we couldn't get a goal which we deserved to start off. But then midway through, obviously, West Ham had a couple of sniffs. But no, it was nice to see some of the patterns we played, because it built on the way we finished off the game at the weekend. So yeah, like you, I'm impressed with the actual football that we're actually seeing to be producing, and nice triangles which we haven't seen for a while. It's always like from side to side sort of thing, but seeing players having triangles and playing together on one side, and So he seemed to be waiting onto the right hand side with Saka. Tierney was pretty much left on his own to do most of the work. But no, it was great, because this was a game. How many times have we been in a situation we were a couple of weeks ago, last week, where we win, we can go fourth, or we win and we can go in, and how many times over the years have we been in this situation? Oh, we win, we start looking ahead of ourselves, don't we? We've always done it, and then we get slapped. And then tonight it's just great. I think I think we even said in the group, this is it. We've got to step up tonight. We've got to show. And I think Arteta, the way he was behaving on the touchline, he knew that this is it. We've got to step up. We've got to put in a performance, and we did, and we deserved the win, regardless of how some of the decisions in the second half. But no, it was a well deserved performance and result.
Yeah, agree. West Ham came for a point, I felt, the way they play. I know they're a counter-attacking team, but I was watching the first half, and sometimes I feel, we're not creating much, and I did text that, so I'm not going to act like I didn't, but I did, and the more the first half went on, I felt we were actually quite impressive. We weren't making mistakes. We were sort of probing, and our pressure was quite consistent, though we weren't creating much. But then as we hit sort of the 30th minute, Neil, gaps started to open up. You had the Tierney chance, the Laca shot, Martinelli chance just wide. It was a really good overall performance, Neil, didn't you think?
I loved it. I think it's I enjoyed it more than the Saints game. And even if it finished only 1-0, I still would have said I would have preferred it over that game, even though we scored 3 against Southampton. And I felt that it was very dogged. It was really dogged. It had everything for me, this game, what we'd like to see from an Arsenal team, because I felt it had the professionalism and the determination and grit of holding a good West Ham team. Now, a lot of people, well, not everyone, but a lot of people were suggesting that this is going to be a really tough game for us. And the way we've been playing again recently, we're going to get pasted. They're going to just walk away with this win. And we just came at them, and I don't think they had any answers. No, it probably helped us having that win against Southampton, because Moyes probably saw the way we played and thought, shit, I've got to close ranks here and hit them on the counter. And that probably played into our hands, because as Michael alluded to earlier, he said, that's the way he set up when he's come before so many years. He's never beaten Arsenal at the Emirates, I don't think. So,
17
or in the Prem. Yeah, that's it. So I think there may have been a bit of hangover for him there, but I just thought that we were so professional in all areas. Like you said, there were no passengers, Jack. We were just good. We were all playing for each other. And I think the pinnacle of that was Lacazette. He was just everywhere doing so many different things. Saka was great as always, but I tend not to talk about him. And Tomiyasu has been like, some people are saying that he was man of the match, and I wouldn't argue with that. But I just find that players like him now, Saka, it's what you expect. So I tend to look at players where I want to see a change and improvement. And Laca's just come out of his shell, and I thought he was unbelievable today. I just love to see his heat map because he was everywhere. Even towards the end of the game, he was like back defending and then even creating from that, breaking up play, being on the attack, getting into pockets. And I think it's helped him having the fast players around him. You know, him can be getting into those pockets and feeding off them and having the runners. I just think he's come out of his shell. It's like he's rejuvenated. You know, he's what, 30? How old is he? 33? I don't know how old he is.
32, I think. 32. I think he's 32. Yeah. Or coming up 30. Yeah, 32.
Mate,
yeah.
Did he look like a 32-year-old today? He looked like one of the youngsters to me today, the way he was playing.
He took the captaincy on, didn't he?
He just took it on with aplomb. And I just felt that I wasn't even disappointed that we didn't score in the first half because I thought, it's coming. You know, we're playing so well. West Ham are going to make a mistake and it's coming. And then, you know, it came obviously because of the brilliance of the guy that I love so much. And, you know, it's just so heartwarming to see. There is definitely a change. I know we had a blip recently and I felt bad after that good run that we put together. But I think out of all the performances I've seen in a very long time, Jack, I'm not just talking about this season, this for me was a complete professional performance by Arsenal. They dug deep. They were professional. And I think they fed off Arteta on the touchline because he was like so animated. And I think today actually they fed off that. And they did what you always wanted, Jack. There was a decision and they crowded around the ref and the commentator on BT was having a go. Oh, they should be doing that. Well, yes, they should be doing that because all the other bloody teams do it. Yes, they should be doing that. He was moaning about Arteta and his staff being animated. Oh, shut up. Let them be animated. If it G's the players on and it's a positive, why not? We need to see more of that. I am so happy today. I can't tell you. It was brilliant.
Laca set the tone for that, didn't he? I mean, early on he was fouled. Sometimes he has one too many roles when he gets fouled, but he really does. He sets the tone. You could tell he took the captaincy on. And the thing with him is he talks about a leadership group, and he's expressed leadership to me quite a lot. I think he's been. I regard Lacazette a little bit like I regard the criticism he gets. Do you remember Sylvain Wiltord? Sylvain Wiltord used to get a ton of criticism, just a ton. And I remember that era really well. And Sylvain Wiltord came in as our biggest signing, a bit like Lacazette, high signing, but was moved out of position, a bit like Lacazette. Lacazette's been told to do a role that he's never really done before. In this game, it was more like his old normal role. And Sylvain Wiltord did so many important goals for us, but because he was this right winger that wasn't really a right winger and doing a job when Lundberg couldn't play and all, everyone kind of looked down at him. But he's unbelievable, some unbelievable performances for us in big moments, Sylvain Wiltord, but never really regarded as that sort of legendary status. Now, Lacazette's nowhere near that level, and obviously he's existing in a different era with a different team. But like you, I just thought he really led from the front. Mike, anyone else stand out to you? I mean, talk on Lacazette as well, if you feel free to.
The only thing I'll say about Lacazette, I was worried. I was disappointed with the penalty, the way he took it, because he normally, to me, it seemed like, again, it was Arsenal. Something's happened, or the team's been hard done by. I feel sorry for him for a couple of minutes. The same thing will happen with the De Gea goal. The goal at Old Trafford, and then we sort of relax a little bit. Then, give him the initiative. Same thing with Charleston. Oh, he's had another goal disallowed for offside, and it's like you had two warnings, and we still sort of And then after the penalty was saved, it's almost like we sort of we just dropped back off a little bit too much, and it was almost like we're giving him the initiative again, and we was under a bit of pressure then, even with against 10 men. But no, he was brilliant. Tomiyasu again. Just standard 7, at least a 7 out of 10 again. A right back that just does the business, but also a right back that still can't take throw-ins. I don't know what's going on there, because if you saw that throw-in he took, he was like he was almost on the floor when he took.
Bellerin was the worst at that. When you remember?
Yeah, we can't. We've got to sort that out. But everyone else, Ben White, considering he's up against Antonio, with his strength, he played well. There's one all over the top, which they looked a bit, ropey with Gabriel. He was messing about a bit. Ramsdale, you're going to pull off a couple of good saves, but I just think he's going to get caught out one day because he's almost too casual, almost too super casual when he gets the ball sometimes. Yeah. And
he's very good though.
He is very good, yeah, but there was just a couple of times where you just got your heart in your mouth sometimes with him. Nothing compared to Leno when he had it, but just, but everyone else, it's great to see Smith Rowe come on as well and get a bit between his teeth. And we've got competition. He's seen Odegaard come in and get a couple of goals and play well again tonight. And he's come on. You saw the way he took his goal and his celebration. Yeah, he wants to be in amongst it as well. So we're saying all that. How does someone like Aubameyang get back into that team? How do you drop someone like Martinelli now with his performance?
Fit. Yeah.
So he's dropped way down the pecking order. Not just because he's been stripped to the armbands, because of his performance. He hasn't been delivering, so he doesn't deserve to get parachuted straight back into the team, does he? He can't.
And that's another thing we've got to remember is he was dropped from the Everton game because he was still in the squad. He was dropped because he wasn't playing well. It wasn't because of any incident that happened after that, I believe, or at least it was dealt with after that. So like you said, absolutely, and it's great to see competition for places. Like genuinely, we're sitting there next game, and you're going, "Who's starting that front four?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is great, which is really good.
And I've got to say as well, that was the most assured I've seen Partey in a long time. And I don't know whether that was because he settled in with Xhaka there, but I can't remember him giving the ball away more than once.
You said it, Michael. You said that question.
Yeah.
Sorry,
so
I
it looks
didn't mean
like
to interrupt.
No worries, man. But no, I just think he looked really assured. He was picking passes out. He was getting back and intercepting and what have you. Looking more like the player that we want. But no, it was good all the way. I don't think there was a performance from anyone where you said, well, no, it was a bit off tonight. I think like Neil said, everybody was on the front foot. And everyone, read the script, realised we're in the press, whatever for the wrong reasons, and let's put out a statement win, which we needed to do. And look where we are, we're fourth from the table on merit.
Yeah, I felt we won the ball back well as well in the central. I still feel we need more from the central midfielders, but I felt today we won the ball back well because they were trying to hit us on the break, and really they're just looking for mistakes from us. And I just don't think we made many. I don't think we made many mistakes, which was great. Which is why, I mean, although like you said, Ramsdale, a few decent saves, but I don't really feel like they had a sustained. Their best period was, like you said, 5 minutes after going down to 10 men, which was really interesting. And what do you think on the penalty shouts, Neil? There was 2 in the first half. I think one on Saka, which I probably don't feel was one. One on Lacazette, which was a bit more questionable. And then obviously the second half one, which was a second yellow and a red card in the end and a penalty. I actually agree with the ref on that one. So what were your thoughts?
Gosh, I can't remember the first two, so I'll let Michael take it. Sorry, the reason why I was interrupting Michael earlier is because I was going to agree with you just very quickly. You had that little question that you answered really well about Partey and why he's not performing the way he was, and you suggested that could be the partner. And maybe you're right. You hit the nail on the head today. That maybe he feels comfortable with Xhaka, and that could be the reason why he's performed today. So yeah, no, that was it. So I apologise for that earlier. But moving on the penalties, I can't remember the first two very well, Jack. I'm sorry, but the one that was given, if I could just talk about that. When I first saw it, I thought that was harsh. I'll be honest, and I'm an Arsenal fan, and I thought, oh no. Then everyone's going to say, oh, you got lucky with the penalty decision. And we'd been on the wrong end of those decisions so many times. So I would have kind of counted it like that and said we got lucky. Because I think when I first saw it, he clips the top of the ball. He kind of does get the ball. It's only after the game, and they were showing it again, and they were talking about it as you expect them they would do, especially when it's an Arsenal decision. The follow through looked really scruffy. I mean, his lunge and his leg was high, and he definitely catches Lacazette. So having looked at it again, yes, penalty all day long. So I think the referee did quite well today. I think he handled the game quite well. A lot of people might not agree with that, but I think he got some key decisions, and I think he got them right. Penalty all day long. Unfortunately, Laca didn't convert. But I also just want to say, I thought, they did defend well as well, and that's another testament to us. We didn't give up. Can you imagine an old Arsenal team or an Arsenal team very recently where our heads would drop? We're trying everything. We're not getting through. We're not converting that special move into a goal or whatever it might be. Our heads just didn't drop. We just kept on going. We just kept on going and motoring on. And I think that was great because I think they defended really well. And and our old former goalkeeper Fabianski made some terrific saves. That one from Tierney was a great save. Ramsdale done that. we'd be talking about it.
Oh, yeah, it was great save. Tip onto the bar.
So, yeah. So, you know, I think we've done well to motor on. But yeah, if you want to talk about the other two instances, I can't remember them that well. So,
to be honest, on first, I haven't rewatched them. On the first, I didn't think either was, but I'm hearing some stuff about the second one on Laca that I maybe need to go back and watch. But I didn't think either was. But the second one, I agree with the penalty. I actually agree with you. I think it went over the ball, and it probably. I thought it was a straight red, which I thought was harsh, but it's not. It's a second booking, so it's probably about right. What's weird is I don't think Lacazette takes penalties when he wins them. He's like Henry. So I was a bit worried from the start there because there's like a sort of French superstition right there. So I was expecting like Odegaard to step up and take it or something like that. And when he took it, I was like, oh, and he's actually got a very good record as a penalty taker for us. So it was a dodgy penalty. It was a poor penalty. But what was nice.
He's missed, I think.
Yeah, there you go. First one he missed. I didn't know if he'd had 7 in 9 or something. I don't remember him missing one, like you said. What was really nice, though, we go 1-0 up. Like, obviously, had that little 5-10 minute spell, but then we went again. You know, we've spoke so many weeks about us going 1-0 up, and I was just sitting there watching us 1-0 up, and I was just like, oh, this next 20 minutes is going to be horrible. But it actually wasn't. After that 5 minutes, we went again. Smith Rowe probably gave us that urgency that we needed. I think he came on for Odegaard and just gave us a bit more energy on the because we kind of sort of sat in a bit deep and we were hitting them a bit harder. And he just, like you said, Mike, he just carried on. Let's do the first goal. Brilliant first goal, Mike. Reminded me a bit of Henry. Dare I say even peak Walcott, which is all. But you know, do you remember some of those goals?
Steady on. You know, peak Walcott's levels, mate. You know, you can't be disrespecting Theo like that, mate. You know, he's got a long way to go before he reaches Theo's levels, man. Come on.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I'll say that. Andy, delete that. But what you thought? It was a great little free pass move and finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was lovely. You know, Lacazette dropping into that space and threading that ball through, and you know, Martinelli with his R1, you know, ordinary, you know, FIFA finesse, you know, finish, you know, into the bottom corner. You know, not as polished as the King, you know, does it, but still, you know, he's learning, you know, he's doing business. But yeah, lovely goal. And you know, I think we said it a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, about having runners, having people that we can play passes onto, that they run onto, and all of a sudden they've got a chance from open play. You know, not of this. You know, dot-to-dot football, and he must have been listening because I think since then he's not really been that much of that sort of style of play. It's been, you know, that, you know, run into space, knock it into space, and how many times we see Liverpool score goals like that with Salah or Mane, you know, just simple ball into that space, run into it. Because you've got crazy pace, you've got to outstrip your guy. I mean, it's just straightforward. You haven't got to think about it, just slot it, rather than this intricate trying to, you know, score this perfect goal manufactured off training pitch. And yes, the first goal against Southampton, going back on that because we haven't touched on that as much, but the first goal was an amazing goal, you know, against Southampton. But these goals as well, they're the ones that kills teams, you know, after all of that blocks and everything they've done, throwing their bodies in the way, they just get outdone with a simple ball, threaded down the channels and through and bang, that's it. Can't do nothing about that. So, yeah, it was a lovely bit of play. And
nice
just after half time, it's great, yeah.
Yeah, nice to see a bit more of a direct move because the goal against Southampton was fantastic, but it is a bit sort of Arteta built, if you like, where it's that perfect build-up from the back. You wonder how many times that can work, especially in games like this against a really good side. I mean, we had 21 shots to their 7 today, 2.91 XG to 0.37, which is basically saying we should have won the game 3-0. So we really dominated the game, and that's what I get really encouraged when you don't just get the result, but you get a performance as well. Neil, Smith Rowe, we just got to talk about it. Smith Rowe, he's out for a few weeks, right? Most people come in a little bit rusty, you know, back's hurting, stuff like that. He just carries on. Like, he scored 6 in a season. Grealish, his best ever season in the Premier League is 8 goals. Smith Rowe, we ain't even got halfway through the season here. He scored 6. He's a £100 million player, Neil. He's a £100 million player, and he's not even Saka. He's not even so he gets started on Saka. I mean, this is unreal. We're the richest club in the world. We just don't know it yet. I mean, this is unbelievable stuff. I mean, 6 goals, 6 Premier League goals. I got my brother telling me we should have loaned him 6 months ago to Huddersfield. back over for another year. He needs a bit more experience. I mean, Neil, he's just. I mean, I thought Odegaard had an okay game today. Sometimes I want Odegaard to be a bit more stable in possession because I feel he's technically probably our best footballer. So I expect him to always be clean in possession. So maybe that's just a standard thing. But I did think he was very good against Southampton. But Smith Rowe, Neil, comes on just like he's never been away in it.
It's funny, Jack. So I'm still laughing at what you're saying. And forget about mentioning. Don't mention your brother. I don't think he knows what he talks about. But anyway, but no, honestly, look. Let's not put pelters on Odegaard. He has been fabulous. I mean, up to this game, he'd scored 3 and 3, didn't he? Yeah. So, and even today, I think Michael again, he mentioned it. He made some. Well, it might have been you, Jack. I can't remember, but he made some great touches. There was that one which almost led to a goal. It was a fabulous little touch. I think it was the Lacazette, wasn't it?
Yeah, he had like two little nice flicks. He always liked him.
And it's just natural. It's just natural. You know, it's just a lovely, lovely thing to watch. But you're right. I think, it's easy for us to criticise when he may not be. And I think it is an expectation thing, Jack, because you see something so great from him and then you just think that's going to replicate every single game. Unfortunately, football in the world doesn't work that way. And it doesn't matter because he can come off and then you can bring on this gem. And you're absolutely right. Hasn't played for a while. He comes on and he's like better than ever. And I don't know what to say. And I think it's because he links up with Saka so well. It's like, I've said it before and they've said it themselves, that they're so telepathic together, even before they broke into the first team. And they used to play together and they just know instinctively. Michael's talking about runners and moving into space. Well, that's exactly what happened, wasn't it? You saw Saka managed to win that ball. I mean, the game was gone anyway. It was dying. The full-time whistle was going to blow. And that's what I liked. We kept on playing right till the end. I think it's that urgency that we knew that we're very vulnerable when we go 1-0 up. And we wanted to get that second goal. And it was right at the end of the game almost. And it's like, he still wins that ball. Smith Rowe runs into space and Saka just feeds him perfectly. But what a finish through the defender's legs. And that's what he was missing. You were saying, Jack, that I think the only thing that's missing in his game is scoring goals. And look at him now. And it's confidence, isn't it? It's a confidence thing. He's got a couple, and now he seems to be doing it every time he bloody gets on the pitch.
Yeah.
But it was just such a composed finish. It wasn't an easy finish. He still managed to do it.
No, I'm trying to watch the goal again, and I think Tomiyasu. He does brilliantly well, doesn't he, Tomiyasu?
Yeah.
Because he wins the ball and then he goes down, but he wins it again, feeds Saka, who gets another assist, by the way, Saka. If I could criticise for anything, just needs a little smidgen of what Smith Rowe's getting. He's a bit more decisive than Saka. Smith Rowe just clearly, when he gets the ball, he just makes his decision and goes with it, even if it doesn't come off. But Saka, every time he gets more, he gets in those positions more than anyone in our team, Saka, because he's so good through the thirds. But don't you watch him sometimes? You just took that extra touch or that extra thought, whereas you just got it out your feet and hit it. And honestly, you get a bag full. And if we can get him firing, honestly, as some people said, in order for us to do well this season, we're going to have a Bamiyang bang. But I think before that, for us to do well this season, we're going to have our two elite young talents get there, because that's the elite part of our team, really. Smith Rowe and Saka. Aubameyang's past his best. We've known that for a while.
We have to build a team around those two, Jack. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are absolutely 100%.
Do you worry a little bit, Mike, that obviously Smith Rowe, Odegaard, they can rotate, Martinelli now. I worry a little bit for Saka's fitness. We don't have that trust in Pepe to rotate him or someone else. Do you worry a little bit there? So many minutes.
Especially with obviously the December fixtures coming up and the fact that Pepe is not going to be around for a month as well. So that's going to be, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, he could have Martinelli over there or Smith Rowe over there, and that will keep Odegaard in the team. So he's got something to think about there. But the fact that Pepe hasn't had any kind of minutes in the last couple of games shows you what Arteta thinks of him, and also the fact that, like you said, burnout for Saka. That is the worry, because he did look a little bit off or jaded. Obviously, the Euros hangover, which a lot of the England players have had, apart from Declan Rice, who has been playing so well for West Ham up to the point. Even tonight he played well again. But yeah, that's what you're worried about, and the options now, obviously, of who will come in. Because again, the games we've got coming up are thick and fast, obviously as they usually are in December, and you can only see him getting a bit of a respite in the game on Tuesday against Sunderland, and then he's right back in it because we've got Norwich and Wolves. They're going to be tricky ones, especially Norwich. They've performed a little bit better, but I just hope he's not burnt out because we've got so many games coming up, and I think it's probably going to be maybe he might shift Martinelli over there, or he might just put Smith Rowe there and have him and Odegaard in there.
Yeah, exactly. It does feel like we need that one more player, but of course, with the old issue with the Aubameyang and the fact that he's going off to AFCON, and obviously we're not using Pepe much anyway at this point. But one injury changes all of that. You tend to get more injuries when you play more games, so that's just one of those things. But fantastic performance. I thought it was brilliant. I've got two other questions for you. I do think tomiyasu, and more and more, it was fantastic. I mean, I think like you said, becoming accustomed to just having a proper right back. That's what we're doing. We're becoming accustomed to going, got a proper right back again now, so we just expect him to be 7 out of 10 every week, which is good. Expect that from Tierney on the other side as well. But it has been so long at the right back position, I feel, since we've had that, and again, it worries me there a little bit. Who do we have anyone like him to come in or, to vary that? If Tomiyasu came off, he basically landed from Japan, 12 hours later, started playing, he's not stopped. I don't even know if he lives at the training ground or what. Unbelievable, So it's just, I don't know. The problem is when you start seeing stuff like this, you worry you're going to lose it. That's what's happening. I'm going, what's going to change?
Stop being negative, Jack.
Stop being negative, exactly. But enjoy it. Who was your man of the match, Neil?
Oh, God. There's several, but a lot of people will disagree with me because he missed the penalty, but I'm going to give it to Laca. I thought there were several. I thought Tomiyasu was great. I thought even Ben White was a bit of an unsung hero, but he made some great interceptions in the match.
Antonio really well, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I thought Saka. I know you guys are saying you're worrying about him burning up, and I know that what you're saying about him not scoring goals, Jack. But I think if someone like Emre Sukro is playing alongside him and he's banging them in, does it matter that much really if we're getting results? I don't know, but yeah, I do agree with you. He just needs to up that part of his game. I thought he was great. He did so much work on the right-hand side. It was unreal. Tierney showed us what he was doing in the beginning, and he made some great couple of crosses into the box, which was fabulous. And he had that shot, of course. But I'm going to give it to Lacazette only because he must have had that pressure on him today, knowing that his best mate has been stripped, and he's in this weird position. And he just walked on that pitch, and he could have been, he could have shown a little bit of emotion towards that. No. Completely professional. In fact, he did the opposite, flip side of it, and he led that team. He may have been feeding off Arteta, shouting on the sidelines, but he led that team and he was involved in anything. So for me, if it's not just all about the performance, for me, it was Lacazette.
Yeah, pure professionalism. To be honest, I think he's been purely professional throughout his Arsenal career, whether he's been good or bad. I mean, there was points where we were playing Eddie Nketiah ahead of him. Probably, maybe justified, maybe not. He was on the bench for 2-3 months, didn't say a word. That wouldn't happen with a lot of other players. So I think that's fair. Mike, who's your man? Does Laca get it or someone else nick it?
I'd say Laca's, a great shout, but I would give it to Saka, just because of from minute one he just went at him. He got an assist. So obviously, if you look at his numbers, he reflects well, but he just the thing with Saka when he's in that sort of form, as soon as he gets the ball, the defensive line, they just drop without even thinking because they think, shit, he's got it again, he's coming again. So they just drop off, and then they create that space, and it leads to the guy having a little bit of joy and all that stuff. Whereas if it goes to someone who's a bit more timid, who cuts back inside and plays it across to the other side, then that defensive line doesn't drop, but because he was literally getting the ball and he was just going at that Masiaki, whatever his name was, just going at him, he was just dropping off straight away, and then everyone else had to drop off. And he's making a massive, influence on the game. And I had to give it to him. And at least him and Smith Rowe could do that celebration tonight. I think they did that Wenger one. as well. So so they did that, and and the goal wasn't disallowed this time. But no, I'll give it to Saka.
Oh, yeah.
I'll definitely give it to Saka. What about yourself? Who would you give it to?
I'd probably edge Laca, but I'm a big Laca stan, as they say nowadays. I'm a big Laca stan. I've been a big fan of him for a while. I don't think I do think it chucks up a little bit of a dilemma for us. We're young everywhere, all over the team. We're going to lose Aubameyang. Whether he reintegrates, I think it's a very small percentage. Whether he reintegrates to the level that he was at, almost no chance. Almost no chance that he reintegrates to the level of a captain and your leading goal scorer. It's just, if I'm wrong, but it's not happening. So
I'll agree with I'll agree with that absolutely, but I'll also agree with Neil. The fact is, if he does come back into the team, he comes back into the team with himself. People will be watching him now to see what his reaction would be, and he won't have the armband. He won't have that on him because, like Neil said, he's probably a guy that just wants to get out there and play and not have that responsibility, that added responsibility of being the one that everyone looks at. He just wants to go out there and get into positions and just focus on his game as such, being more individual and not have the armband. So maybe if he comes back, he hasn't got that added pressure. Maybe then he can play with a bit more freedom. I don't know, but that's if he gets back into the side, and if he does, that's if he plays for us again. I mean, I think like again, like Neil said, with Aguero retiring, I think that opens up a window of opportunity. He could be playing up front with Braithwaite, Aubameyang and Braithwaite up front for Barcelona. I mean, who would have thought of that?
There we go. I'll tell you, extra goals for bloke. Yeah, unbelievable. What's your thoughts, Mike, just before we get predictions for Leeds, on he had an opportunity here maybe to make the quick change on the captain, maybe someone that he felt was always a captain within the group. Though when you look at the grand scheme and everyone talking about it, there's a lot of potential captains. There's not really one standout for a lot of people. Who would you make? Do you think he's right in doing what he's doing and giving it to the leadership group of Lacazette and possibly Xhaka when Lacazette comes off and things like that, which is an interesting one to talk about. But do you think he's right in delaying that 6 months till the summer? And if he is right, who would you give it to?
I think I think he's right. I think we've said in the chat. I think if you give it to Lacazette, he's been having the armband anyway. Whenever Aubameyang has come off, whatever, and you get that buy-in from him as well. I think if you're giving it to Xhaka, then I think, like Neil said, with his mate being sort of put out, sent to Coventry, then he would have maybe felt, well, I'm going to maybe down tools a little bit as well. I don't need to, but because he's got that responsibility, then I think it's a good decision to have him, because he's a massive focal part of the team now. So as long as he stays fit, we know that he's literally going to play in that position. And then I think in the summer, I think Xhaka will be in the mix again to have it long term. But I mean, I think it will be Tierney or Gabriel would be my choices for permanently. Probably Tierney, just because obviously he's had experience being a captain. I think we started for a few times as well. But I think he leads by example. He's one of our best players, but it's not just that. He leads by example, by his commitment and the way he communicates with players and what he demands. You see that he demands people. If someone's not playing the ball right or whatever, he'll dig them out. He'll have a go at them. And that's what you want. You want people to be accountable. That's what a proper leader is. Not like the one in number 10, but that's another story.
Exactly. Very true. Very true. Neil, what about you? Would you go? I think you'd go someone different from what I remember you texting me. Go on. Go ahead.
I've always been saying Tierney for a long time, haven't I? And then all of a sudden Ramsdale appeared, and I thought, oh my god! And I've never been a fan of strikers or goalkeepers being captains, never, because they're not. Strikers are at the wrong end of the pitch for me. I always prefer a defender or a central midfielder to see more of the game, the flow of the game, and I think you can marshal better from those positions. But I've just seen something very, very special about Ramsdale. I think Laca's probably the right decision now. My only worry was because he hasn't been able to sustain a full 90 minutes. But as we saw today, he's dumbfounded me. I've been perplexed by how he's played today. And that's probably because he's had fast players around him. And if we can set up a lot of games like that, then I think there's no reason why he can't, obviously touch wood, he doesn't get an injury. If he doesn't get an injury, there's no reason why he can't sustain a 90-minute game. So for the rest of the season, Lacazette for me now, after what I saw today, that is only one game. But I'm going against my grain. Personally, I think Ramsdale would be such a great leader. He already shows leadership qualities around the goalkeeping and defence area. And I know he's not outfield player, and that can cause issues. But there have been some great goalkeeping captains, and there's no reason why. He's got all the attributes as Tierney has got. He's got all of them. So for me, I would go probably Ramsdale first, and then joint second would be Gabriel and Tierney for me. That would be my choice, but not yet. I think Laca, if he can sustain his fitness, then for the rest of the season, for sure, Lacazette.
Yeah, I agree with you on Laca. Played 88 minutes today as well, so the old 60-minute window of Lacazette syndrome is starting to push out a little bit. Captain gives him an extra 28 minutes of energy. So there you go. Now, I'm different. So Tierney, Mike, Ramsdale, Neil, and I would go Gabriel because I am very old school in the centre. Maybe it's just the Adams Vieira stuff, probably that. I don't know. And I know that issues with all of them. Tierney, people say fitness, Ramsdale, goalkeeper, Gabriel, language barrier. So there's qualities to all of them as well. And,
but there's qualities.
Yeah, and a year ago, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
None.
We'd be going on. I know
none.
It could be. Yeah, exactly. So that's
they
credit to the club and Arteta. Yeah.
They?
Exactly.
I mean, that time when we gave it to Walcott in that really important game because it was his 100th anniversary, whatever it was, gave it to Walcott. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Shocking, wasn't it? Like pass the parcel.
Seriously, come on.
Shocking.
Come on.
Yeah, very bad. Before we go, Mike, what's your prediction? Leeds away, I worry after I see, and most people would look at them, see a 7-0 loss and go, oh, yes, but after everything we do against teams that need a result, I get palpitations. So Leeds away, massive game, mate. If we can get that, we'll get 3 wins on the bounce. We're starting to look really, really strong again. What's your thoughts on that one?
You should know already. You know me so long, Jack. You should know we're playing against Leeds. What normally happens against Leeds? Pain, mate. Doesn't matter about they could have battered 7-0.
Oh yeah.
Pain. This time, the reason why because they're going to have a packed Ellen Road wanting blood. They're going to want a performance after getting battered like that. And we know, as Arsenal fans, what it was like going up to Leeds with the Invincibles. Going up there, we battered them a few times, but there were a couple of times where we came back with our tails between our legs. Obviously, don't even want to talk about that. Nelson Vivas, giving it away to Hasselbank and costing us a lead. But this is another, big northern club. Night under the lights. Young team there. This is going to be if we can get a result there, that's going to be a massive, regardless of the team. Leeds what shape Leeds are. If we can go to Leeds and get a result in that sort of environment, that's massive. That would be huge. So for me, I'll take a 1-0. But it's just going to be Payne, man. They're going to be another Jennings 7-1 on Payne. Probably I'll say Lacazette 1-0. But yeah, if we can get out of there even if it's a draw, the most important thing is we pick up points because. Look at the table tonight, and you're thinking we would have taken 4 points over the United and Everton games, especially taking the lead in those games. And those 4 points, I would, we would have said taken that, and that's a killer. You add that to what we've got now. We've got a bit of daylight. So if we get a draw, we get a draw. But we've got to try and make sure we don't do anything silly up there. But 1-0 or so, like I said. Yeah,
and that thought process is very wise because, we've got the best home record in the league alongside Man City, but I think we're somewhere around 11th for away record. We've been very poor away from home. Might have something to do with that being a young side, but also being a side that hasn't been showing the football like this, and has sat in and not been that comfortable sitting in for long periods. And away from home, that pressure mounts and mounts with a crowd behind you. So 1-0, Laca, I think Mike said, I'd take that all day, just like you, even with the pain. Neil, what's your prediction?
No, I think 3-1. 3-1 Martinelli.
3-1. I did predict we'd win today, by the way. Someone texted me and I said, I think we'll win today. Mike rubbed off on me because he texted me last night saying, I'm confident. And I said, do you know what? I didn't say it, but in my head I was like, I got this. I think it was the Aubameyang thing. I think it's going to rile the club a little bit. The players are going to support him on that. Because I felt that with Ozil as well. When you drew him out, I felt there was a lot of players feeling that and going, hold on a minute, this guy's getting off with stuff that we're not here. So when they make that call, I think a lot of people will go, Yeah, you know what? It's about blaming time too, and I think maybe you saw a bit of that today. But okay, Neil's 3-1.
Arteta mentioned that in the press conference, didn't he? He said that the players knew what was going on, and they've all agreed, with the kind of agreed with the direction that they took in stripping the captaincy. There's a point where he said yes, they knew it had to be done. It was, and they said it was the right thing to do. So yeah, I think, as a team, if they're all thinking in that way, saying, look, no matter who you are, you can't take the piss. You can't have these standards and have you going against that. And yeah, you can see the performance tonight. Everyone was on the same page. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I forgot he said that actually. So that's a good point. But I'll go 2-1 win. Come on, 2-1 win. And I'll go Laca as well. I think Laca.
The landscape's changing if Jack's going for an away win.
Is it Saturday 3 p.m. go? No, it is. Is it Saturday 3 p.m.?
Is it 5? I think it's 5:30, isn't it?
Is it?
5:30, yeah.
A late one away. The crowd's going to be even more drunk. Okay. Oh, gosh. It's never worked. I don't like it. But want it to be 3 p.m. I want it to be light out. I don't know. Something about it, isn't there? Something about it. I don't know. See, already worrying. Enjoy this one.
Shut up, Jack. Come on.
All right, boys. Fantastic. Thank you for joining us on the sit down. This one's going to be called From This Day Forth. And find us at Purely Arsenal FP. Thank you to Mike, Neil, James obviously couldn't be with us, Anthony for adjusting some of our stuff on YouTube. We look proper, full-blown Arsenal now. Probably people think we work for the club, to be honest, after they see this one. So fantastic. And we're back after a win at Ellen Road. That's the goal here.
We'll be after a win.
Fingers crossed. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Mike. Hold on. I always forget to stop recording. There it is. Stop.